Morning, thank you. Just a couple of points. Very pleased to hear today that the staff now agrees that the previous inventory is too high. We have a difference of opinion, as Jim just pointed out, in terms of how far off the inventory is. One thing that kind of concerns me, though, is that I heard that this issue sort of first came up when Professor Harley's report came out. I think I heard them say December. It was actually September of last year. But actually, Professor Harley was not the first person to raise this issue about the adequacy or the accuracy of the off-road model. That was raised by Professor Robert Sawyer back in 2000. It was also raised earlier by Dr. Harley, before this rule was even adopted, in a contract paper that he wrote for the Air Resources Board back in 2004. So this issue of the off-road model having a problem in terms of the fuel analysis has been out there. I'm glad we're finally hearing about it today before the board. I also want to comment on this enforcement relief. The enforcement relief is a statement by staff that they will not enforce the rule until EPA grants the waiver. And as they have acknowledged, they have no legal authority to enforce the rule until EPA grants the waiver. On the same day that they announced this enforcement stay, which is a sham, they wrote a letter to the EPA urging immediate granting of the waiver. So on the one hand, they're sending out this message to the community that relief is forthcoming. On the other, they're begging EPA to withdraw the relief. What staff slides show this morning is also that what we have been telling you, which is the way that fleets are complying with this rule is by shrinking, is true. They say that 55% of the fleets are taking advantage of the shrinking fleet low-use exemptions. And as we have pointed out, that is an economic disaster for the industry. You don't cope by getting smaller and smaller and smaller and eventually disappearing. Now, we can have more delay and more time for study. That's all well and good, but the industry needs some clear direction from you today, and the staff needs clear direction. I was very pleased that Chairman Nichols started out by saying that the job today is to provide clear direction to the staff and that you have to make decisions despite the uncertainties. The clear direction that staff needs is to provide relief, and to provide relief that pushes this schedule out. By simply saying that we will provide some deferral of the deadline until 2013, 2015, whatever you might pick, but then you have to catch up. You've got a giant balloon payment due, is just inviting disaster. And from a business perspective, if you know that you're going to have to catch up in 3 years, you've got to start making those expenditures now when you can least afford it. Thank you.
Is that okay?